Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay on this episode. My new job has been a bit of a time sink, but I have gotten paid, so that's good. Along with the pruning work my mother's been having me do, I basically just cut down 2 trees. But let's get into this episode. Now, while I will still be talking about how I improved the garden, it's also time for some knowledge. I did a lot of pruning, and I feel like this would be a great time to talk about pruning and really get into the ins and outs of Now, before I give a shitty hands-on demonstration, let's talk about pruning. Also, for those who hate learning or already know this, skipping points will be in the pinned comment below. As I was taught, pruning is inherently a stunting exercise. It stunts the growth and keeps plants small. And this is most clear in the art form of bonsai. Fun fact, bonsai isn't a type of tree. It's a tree trimmed and pruned to be that size. There's no genetic dwarfism at play here. So, one of the more interesting aspects of pruning is how it disrupts hormone production in a plant. If you overprune a plant, it will stunt root growth, and you might think, how the hell does that work? But you see, there's a very interesting relationship between the root and leaves. Roots produce leafing pheromones, or leafing hormones, I should more likely say, and the leaves produce rooting hormones that travel down the plant. This way, there's always a fair balance of both of them. If there's not enough rooting hormones being produced by the leaves, that means there's not enough leaves, so they stop producing roots. If there's too much roots, they start producing more leaves. Vice versa. It keeps the plant in a form of balance. This is why you don't want to over-prune plants. You do want to prune plants. It can help control the type of growth, but over-pruning can lead to some odd issues. Now, outside this, the art of pruning can be divided into 2 forms: ornamental, like bonsai, and production, which is be like oranges in my demonstration. So, here's me demonstrating some ornamental versus commercial pruning, or production pruning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the special segment of Pascal's garden. Last week I would have posted this on like Sunday, but I got very busy. So today we'll be talking about, for the special segment, right? There's going to be 2 special segments, about 5 minutes each, if I'm doing this right. Pruning. So, say hello to what has been sucking up most of my time. A pomegranate tree. Produces pomegranates. Also, it's pretty easy to make into more pomegranate trees if you know the tech. So, pruning, as discussed in the segment, can be divided into 2 bits. Ornamental pruning, which is what I've been doing, cutting this thing down. Well, I say cutting it down, but I would have been taking a saw right to here, but I'm not doing that. I am pruning, where I take my tools and I go like that. Oh yeah, this would be good budwood. This would be good budwood if I was making more pomegranate trees, but I have no room. Hello, bee. So, when ornamental pruning, it's more or less just cutting it down to look good. There's no real deeper thought into it. You typically want to look to the lowest point possible. Like, I want to get rid of this, let's say. I don't actually, but I would be looking down from there and probably want to cut this right here. But you see, my pruning tools, these clippers, are nowhere near big enough to cut that. Clippers do have a size limit. These are about a 1-inch, 2-inch clippers. So for something like, say, this, if I get right up to the base, no, actually. No, this, yeah. You see, oh, goddamn, I hit the off button. You see, this is too big to cut for a pair like this. Also, these are the good loppers. These are the ones you want. Flat base on this one, sharp edge on this one. lets you cut all sorts of things. Smoothly, mind you. These are also what I'd be using if I wanted to make this a production project, where I'd say, take this, snip it about right there, pull it down. I'd want to like remove all the leaves off this. You see, when you're doing this for the production of saplings, more leaves is actually a bad thing. Yeah, this would be a good setup. Now, admittedly, it wouldn't have touched the floor right there, because that's unsanitary for the plant. But I would cut it again, wash it, put some rooting pheromone on this, and I'd probably be able to get a nice little sapling out of that. 10, 20 bucks right there, boom. This is what I learned in college. But I'm not selling pomegranate saplings because there's no demand for it. And I'm not going to be growing more pomegranates because there is no demand for it. I mean, pomegranates are great. These ones didn't taste so good, but that might just because it's a very untended to plant. You know, more water, more of that would be good. Oh, bee. Special guest. Oh, he's going in there. He's doing the bit. Come on, get into focus. Fuck you. He's got all that pollen on his cubicula, so he's been having a busy day today. Another tool you might be needing, let me go, is this bad boy. A saw. Saws are saws. If you need me to explain how to use this, you're a goober. But you see, if I wanted to, say, move this back a bit, I would probably want to cut right here, right? Because this leads all the way up to here. You want to cut low. But the lower you cut, the harder it is to cut because the branches get thicker. It's important to note just how much work you're doing. Because on a hot day, like it is right now, you can't really do too much work without killing yourself. And I want to live a nice long life. So always make sure to take breaks in between this. Like how I'm going to take a break in between me and doing the next segment, which is pruning fruit trees for production. So now let's talk about pruning for fruit production. Now, one thing to note about pruning, I should have said this earlier, I'll probably put it in as like a little snippet at the front, is that all pruning is inherently stuntive. You're stunting the plant's growth. And you think that's bad. You're stunting it in a way, if you're doing it right, that increases plant growth. You see, this plant, if you think about it in an abstract way, is a machine that turns that into delicious, delicious oranges. So, you want more leaves to turn more of that into more oranges. So, let's examine the leaves of this plant. You have the outer cover, which is absorbing a bunch of sunlight, but then you look on the inside and you see things like that down there. That leaf is doing jack and shit. It's got a little bit of light, but what's a good way of getting down there? It's doing a lot less. This is not doing much. Most of the leaves on this side you'd probably want to trim since it's being sort of blocked by this bush. Ultimately, when pruning a citrus for production, though this could apply to most other production trees, you want to get rid of the leaves that are not directly exposed to sunlight. Let's look at this one, a smaller specimen. We got there. We got some right there. some of this under, like right here. We can get rid of this one right here. Well, I guess you couldn't see that, but it was right here. We're stunting the plant's internal leaf growth, which objectively is putting more outer leaf growth, which is what we want, because those outer leaves, like right here, all around the outer edges of this thing, are the ones that are actually capturing and using sunlight. This is also sort of like the method you'd use on smaller plants for production. If you don't trim the branches that the smaller, stubbier branches, or I guess stems, that appear at the inner of the plant, they'll just sort of take up space without producing much more. That's why people tell you to trim or prune your tomato plants. I'm going to get myself an orange. Well, this is a good one. Also, these are examples of two fairly pristine orange plants. No major defects on the leaves. The leaves tell you a lot about a plant. Like, here's a fun fact. Most plant nutrients are either immobile or mobile in a plant. That means they move around. Or they don't move around. Vice versa. Depending on where a negative trait shows up, if, like, let's say this leaf was yellowing it. This is a newer leaf, so that's a mobile nutrient. Right? Yeah, it's a mobile nutrient. Is that... Yes. But if the older leaves were experiencing yellowing, as well as the new leaves, that means it's an immobile nutrient. Meaning that it doesn't move around. And that small distinction allows you to determine what of the smorgasbord of nutrients that might be the issue. That was me pruning, but there is one last thing I want to talk about. I got some flowers. I got some flowers for the garden. I'm gonna put one like right here, right here. Oh wait, yeah, right here. So petunias. I got a couple of petunias, a white set and a red set. Now these aren't your ordinary petunias. I actually talked to the developer of them back in college. We had a plant breeding expo, an ornamental plant breeding expo. It had all sorts of companies there. Burpees, the guy who made these, I actually talked to him. And he talked about the method he used to make them. But it's a little bit, it's advanced. It's an advanced method. It's hard to explain. Now, I will, in this next segment, which is, what the hell are these flowers? Now, there isn't going to be a funny, opening graphic like there was for the Art of Pruning segment, mainly because I don't know how to make a segment for this. So these flowers were produced in a advanced method known as embryo rescue. These are a hybrid between two incompatible flowers that have some of the best traits of both. They're petunias, for one, but he then introduced the genetics of a wild flower and was able to give the flowers a coating of cutyl on the petals. So you know how, like, if you have petunias and you water them and they get all soggy and gross and fall apart? These bad boys are not subject to that matter. And he did it using a method called embryo rescue. The rest of this segment is just going to be me talking about embryo rescue. And also, this is the end of the video segment. I'm just going to, cut it off like I did last time. So, you should just stop watching now unless you want to hear me yap about botanical cytology and the sort. So the method he used to make these is a branch of tissue culture. Tissue culture is the practice of growing just the cells of a plant, like cloning a bunch of leaf cells or cloning a bunch of seed cells. You know, like how they do that with fake meat, imitation meat. Well, it's not fake meat, it's real meat that they grew in, tissue cultures, lab-grown meat. We can do that for plants. It's just a matter of why would you do that? But we actually figured out why. 'Cause it's not practical to do it for the production of, say, food and whatnot, but it's really practical in terms of the production of more plants. Some plants are absolute motherfuckers to propagate, even with good methods. Tea plant, for instance, it's horrible to grow from seed, and it's not easy to grow from budwood. So what we do, or what we can do, I don't know if they do this in Japan, but this is what I'm going to be trying to do in the future, is grow just the cells of it to clone the plant. Boom. Plant cloning. That's the main use of tissue culture. Anyways, it's a very interesting art form, I guess you'd call it. But it's mainly used for the breeding of plants, tissue culture and the sort, occasionally the propagation of them. It is basically just putting plants in a petri dish with the right nutrients so they grow into bigger, healthier plants. Easily, just like that. What the guy did was he crossbred two plants, and these plants are uncompatible. They make a gamete, their DNA fuse, but sadly, they don't actually develop into a full plant. They self-terminate inside the plant womb. So what he did was he cut it open after fertilization, extracted the fertilized cells, and grew them in a petri dish, and was able to get this fusion plant that should, by all means, not exist. It's a really impressive method, honestly. I want to steal his research. If I could steal anyone's research, it would be his, because I want to do that with all sorts of silly plants.